So I came out a little bit later, but I'm gonna do my WWE Smackdown review, April 12th, 2024. The Smackdown after Mania. Smackdown was pretty good. It's very decent. A lot of big storylines, a lot of new feuds that are happening. We will go through the entire show. I'll make this about an hour and 30 minutes while I make this show. We're gonna go through what happened tonight on SmackDown with Cody Rhodes, Bayley, Tiffany Stratton. We'll see how Braun Breaker is, Jay Cardell. Where did the bloodline go from here? We're gonna talk about that a lot, and where I think they will go with this. Um, I just want to say thank you for watching. Thank you for all the support. Hit that like button. Leave a comment. Please subscribe to my channel. Let me know in the comments section you want to see more. Um, man, we're going to do a lot. My video is sponsored by Salamochter Sound Off, Fightful Wrestling, JD from New York, Denise Salcedo, Just Alex, Wrestling Inc., The Dan Tony Show. Those are the podcasters that you want and been sponsored by. Alright, now I just want to show you guys Denise Salcedo first. Hold on for a minute. I actually want to show hold on for a second.
I love that, man. I think this too. I don't care that I'm 3 years old. Shit, I want to go to wrestle freaking Nick. Start off by saying, like, I love that they're bringing the NXT North American Women's Championship to NXT. However, I don't think that the main roster quite yet needs another women's championship. I'd rather see those women work their way up to face said champions. What do you think, Robin?
Well, I just love the fact that the women are now on the same level as the men. You know, when I referenced growing up, I also came up in the Sunny, right? And after her, of course, saved.
Hold on. What the?
Knowing it can be used for either title now makes it more interesting. Pick the right rising star and book properly. Bloodline also gets hijacked tonight. I'm invested. We'll talk about the Bloodline story in a minute. That's going to be hot stuff. But in regards to the Money in the Bank, though, I feel that now that we are in the Paul Levesque era, it really feels like they can finally book the Money in the Bank in a way where it's actually going to put somebody on the map. Like, we're talking about not just like rising stars, but stars that you can truly believe that can become champions. And when Jana says here, if booked right, we can have like a real cool opportunity there with the Money in the Bank. So I'm more excited for it this year because of Triple H than I have been in previous years, even though I've always liked the matchup itself.
Well, look at how they used it with Damian Priest at WrestleMania, right? I mean, that we've been wondering when is he going to do it, what's going to happen with it, and the timing was exquisite. Kicking off the beginning match of the second night, right after Drew McIntyre had his moment. They also involved Drew and Punk, so they got that story going more right as Damian Priest came out and cashed in. So yeah, I mean, with Triple H at this point, you got to give him the benefit of the doubt, and of course, yeah, the Money in the Bank matches themselves are always.
That's always nice, though, right? When you earn the benefit of the doubt, I think that within itself is kind of a win already, where we're not sitting here going like, oh, he's going to fuck it up. He's going to fuck it up. No, instead, we're like, okay, let's trust the guy. Let's give him a minute to cook and see where it goes. We got Kevin Zwicker here. Thank you so much for the super chat. Says, we hear Rob Bloodline versus Bloodline 2.0 is coming. Oh, man. I was wondering how they were going to continue this Bloodline story, and we'll get to this. We got Sheldon Jackson here who says it's great to see Tami Tonga debut in WWE, but also good for him to debut on the exact same time as Old Fashioned God were competing at New Japan Pro Wrestling Windy City Riot. Timing is key, man. We got Tunde Iwata here who says, while Jimmy has been exiled, does this mean that we might see an Uso reunion for the next draft? Because this might be a good move for the Bloodline. I do not know, but let's go ahead and jump right into this right now. So let's start off with the Bloodline because this really is the big thing from today's show. So we had Paul Heyman basically go out there and sort of recap a little bit about what happened at WrestleMania 40, which at the end of the day, we all know Cody Rhodes finished the story. But then towards the end of it, Solo Sikoa gets really upset during what Paul Heyman has to say and even cuts him off. And he tells them, if you lose, there's consequences. And there's got to be consequences for those consequences.
Yeah.
And
hey, Michael, how's it going?
He then hugs Jimmy. And he tells him that he loves him. Now, we all know that Jimmy lost his belt at WrestleMania. So we're thinking like, I was expecting right then and there for Solo Sikoa to just hit him with the Samoan spike. But no, instead we see somebody come in with a black hood, and I'm sitting there going like, oh my god, like this is it. We're finally
I love WWE too.
some more of the Samoan, some more of the bloodline coming through. And lo and behold, it is Tama Tonga.
Yeah.
Tama Tonga is finally here. People have been expecting him to come into WWE. He comes in looking really freaking great, man. Comes in, attacks Jimmy, and all of a sudden we're seeing Solo Sikoa take charge of things. He grabs Paul Heyman's phone when Paul Heyman is about to call Roman Reigns, smashes that shit on the freaking mat, stomps on it, and they take out Jimmy. So I want to first start off with your reaction to seeing Tama Tonga.
Well, I mean, look, this is amazing that the Bloodline keeps expanding. Is the Bloodline still the best story in professional wrestling in the world? You know, when you see it go down like this, it is great. You knew he was coming in, but it was done wonderfully. You now wonder about Jacob Fatu. You wonder about the way that you could have one bloodline against like a Wolfpack kind of bloodline going at the same time. Because before the Solo attack, you have to go before it. The seed started to be planted with Paul Heyman taking accountability. Paul Heyman said there is consequences for winning and losing, which Solo then quoted. Paul Heyman came out there and said Cody Rhodes is the champ. That's not the behavior of the bloodline of the past. That's not the feeling.
I love WWE.
I think this is all setting up eventually a triumphant babyface Roman Reigns return, flanked by the Usos. And that's his faction against Solo's faction, which is baby backed by The Rock in the shadow. And that is so freaking cool. And I do think that's where we're headed. But I think it all started with Paul Heyman taking that accountability and responsibility, and then Solo Sikoa taking control.
Can I tell you, I got like chills when you said that. When you said that this would be like secretly flanked by Roman Reigns, by The Rock, I'm like, oh shit. Like, keep in mind, like, we know The Rock is going to come back at some point, right? He basically told and Rock, we still have unfinished business with him and Cody Rhodes. We have unfinished business, I think, still with him and Roman Reigns. So yeah, like you got to keep something there on the show so that when he does come back, you can easily reconnect these dots, right? And so if they were to do like what you said with The Rock, sort of being like the guy behind Solo Sikoa's faction, oh my God, talk about a bloodline civil war. That's it right there, man. I'm really looking forward to seeing what they do here because I was sort of worried that coming off of WrestleMania, coming off of Roman Reigns, we knew that we were probably not going to see him on television for a while. I was sort of worried that we weren't going to get anything good from this. And I really wasn't sure when Fatu was coming in, when Tama Tonga was coming in, but the way that they went about it here today, it's almost like they injected this new blood into the bloodline story. So for me, like, this is looking pretty damn good right here, right now. But for those of you guys who want just a little bit more information on who Tama Tonga is, just to give you guys a little bit of background here, he's one of the founding members of the Bullet Club. He's a multi-time IWGP Tag Team champion. And he's also the adopted son of Haku, who is known as literally one of the scariest men in pro wrestling, one of the scariest men ever.
I remember Haku.
And it's this thing of like all of a sudden it feels like they're sort of taking away some of Paul Heyman's power while Roman is not there. And it looks like Solo Sikoa is starting to run this.
Yeah, they elevated Solo Sikoa like that. Because if you had watched the previous weeks, you might have felt he was a little flat and didn't have the same sort of juice as when he first mysteriously appeared. But that goes back to that benefit of the doubt point we had raised in Triple H, right? I mean, the benefit of the doubt is earned. You don't just give it to people, they earn it. And he's earned it by cooking over the last couple of years. And Solo Sikoa, in one night, like a much bigger star than he was prior because he stomps on that phone. He's like, no, you're not calling the Roman Reigns. He says, Thomas is by orders of the tribal chief, right? And it's when, is Sola just claiming tribal chief status? Is that Shadow Rock who's the tribal chief now? It's that mystery angle that's going on. And let's give credit to Paul Heyman because, I know you were at the ECW arena last week, and this guy has been a master of the business for a long time. We know he knows how to play that heel character. We know he knows how to rip it on the mic, but his acting beats were perfect. He was aghast. Like, really? This is what's happening? And he felt so threatened
I
by
thought he
Solo.
was crying at one point. Didn't it look like he was almost crying? I don't know if he had like sweat or spit or something, but I was like, damn, they're making Paul Heyman look like he's crying out here.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and so there's a reason he's so good at it. He's helped this story so much over the course of it. But remember when he said infamously what inning they were in? I forget.
Yeah, it was. I think he said it at the SummerSlam presser, and it was that they were in the third inning. Was what it was.
The third inning. Okay. So when he said that, we all assumed that meant Roman Reigns going forever. That's what he means. But the third inning of the story doesn't have to end when Cody. Let's say Cody was the bottom of the fifth or something like that. Cody winning, and there's still more innings to go. The story obviously is continuing. And I like Cody's promo tonight. I'm sure we'll get to that and everything. But all of a sudden, to me again, I said it, as a joke with the Heat line, but the bloodline thing still feels like the hottest story in wrestling. What are we leading with on the SmackDown after Cody Rhodes finally finished the story and appeared with that Universal Championship? Solo freaking Sikoa, Paul Heyman, the possible fallout from.
No, you're right on that. It does still feel like the hottest story because even like coming on here to the podcast, I'm like, first things first, we got to get into the bloodline. Like that's the first thing we got to talk about because that's the hottest story coming out of it. But to answer today's question here, though, is do we think because now Jimmy, like you said, has been exiled, right? And him basically falling into this role is going to turn him back into a at some point, right? So do we expect there to be at the end of the day, they're brothers, they're twin brothers. It's going to be very easy for them to be like, to come back together again, and everybody is going to understand because they're brothers. And they have something that, people get it. Families fight all the time. So do you think that Jay will have Jimmy's back in all of this?
Yeah, I mean, I think eventually we're getting Roman like buddies. And Jimmy needs that more than anybody else, I believe, because obviously Jay over. You see it, and he's my son's favorite wrestler. He's got the main event Jey Uso shirt and all that. But you heard the crowd was already asking for it tonight. I mean, they were chanting heat while Jimmy was getting beat down and about to eat that chair to the face. So that alone tells you, I think that's definitely where we're headed. And I think we are headed for bloodline versus bloodline and an eventual collision course and spill out. So from that, because there's other angles to get to, obviously. You still have Cody and Brock in the chamber. You still have Roman and Seth in the chamber, the way that WrestleMania ended. Just beautifully done. The story being finished and Roman's story finishing because he couldn't shield himself from that feeling of revenge after returning Shield Seth Rollins, who dyed his hair after the match to get into character. So, yeah, long answer to an easy question. I do think we're getting into this over.
No, but it's true though. I agree with what you said here. And then also the other thing that I want to add on top of this is, it's no shocking news that people weren't really feeling the Jimmy Uso match like at WrestleMania. Like that was not good. So I almost feel like we got everything we possibly could out of these two guys beefing against each other. And now it's like, okay, let's be real. The best version of Jay and Jimmy is for them to sort of be together. Like even though I still want to see Jay continue things that he's been doing, he's been really freaking cool with the Yeet, hanging out with celebrities, the entrance, all of that stuff. But the best version of them is them together. So I do see that happening. All right, here we got a super chat from Mr. I had a good time with that, but wrestling Jordan is I can't even speak.
They had 25 minutes before the hijinks started. Always feels like a story is unfolding.
Can't come back from that because he's so cocky, right? And you see it in his We know it. But at some point we still gotta get Rock and Roman. So how else do we get to that? And also people have said like we don't want necessarily need the championship for this story between Rock and Roman. The real story is who is the head of the table. So if you have this family completely split up, yeah, I mean that's like literally any family ever, right? There's people picking sides and there's drama whenever there's problems in the family. So this to me feels like a really good idea, really good direction to head in. Thank you so much, Steven. We got a super chat here from Fanta Consumer who's going to SmackDown next week. Can't wait. Hashtag Renaissance era. I hope they have some Fanta at your location in which you're going to SmackDown. Thank you so much for the super chat. We have Mr. Acosta here who says, great team YouTube top raps. Let's keep it going. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. So let's go ahead and get into the Cody Rhodes stuff as well as the main event. I want to time. It's so exciting to see him out there. But this was very simple. He just says he's no longer the hunter. Now he's being hunted as the champion. And he basically said that, to the men that are vying for a shot to bring him down, that they better not miss. And he simply reintroduced himself as the person who was once undesirable, is now undeniable, and now the undisputed WWE champion. So very simple. So I want to jump into who his opponent is going to be for Backlash because we kind of have a really good idea of who it might be. Because coming after Raw after Mania, you knew it was going to be a long time till we see him in Rock, and that's really the hot thing. But who was going to be his opponent immediately after? As of right now, we really didn't have any idea until today. So basically what they announced is that we are going to be seeing
Bobby Lashley and Vince Bush.
it's still not right now his time to be WWE champion. Nevertheless, to beat Cody Rhodes, not his time right now. If I were to see him become champion soon, it would be if he got drafted and ended up in the same brand as the World's Heavyweight Championship. Then I could see him, sort of going that direction. But for the WWE Championship, the Undisputed Universal, whatever they're calling it, no, definitely not. Not for Cody's title. So I feel like that's why it's kind of obvious that AJ Styles is going to get this victory. And then when I think about AJ Styles and Cody Rhodes, I feel like they can tell a really fun story here because AJ Styles is doing really good right now with his heel game. You got babyface Cody Rhodes. It just feels like the natural story to tell. But I feel like you can go in so many different directions with this because AJ Styles has been that guy, for such a long time, and Cody is just now getting a taste of it. So me, AJ Styles, Cody Rhodes is the way to go for Backlash.
Well, you would double bury LA Knight if he were to win against AJ Styles and then go against Cody Rhodes. Remember, he got his first sort of big breakout match against Raw. Didn't win that. So if you did that again against Cody, sort of like, all right, you're never going to do it with this guy. He can lose to AJ Styles because he just beat AJ Styles at WrestleMania. That was sort of the moment that, coordinated the whole thing and galvanized the fans around him. AJ Styles, he has credibility. He has credibility forever. This is something like Undertaker's last match. Undertaker won it, against AJ. It turned out to be almost like a straight to DVD Undertaker movie that was really well done. But people come out and flow and it's just everywhere. Kids love Cody. I've seen it firsthand. Casual, I don't say it's insulting. Broad fan base. I think when you put those
and that they're like you took like take your how I feel about The Rock beating Cody Rhodes.
Well, that's part of the point, right?
I don't know how I feel about that.
I think we had this discussion about
No, I do know how I feel about that. I do know how I feel about that. I don't know about I wouldn't love it. Robin, I would not love it. I would feel like, no, Cody.
You would feel, right? That's part of
to be champion. Because okay, let's say they do Cody Rhodes and The Rock, right? And then let's just say they magically do that at SummerSlam. I don't know. I don't know what the time frame is for The Rock and how long it's going to be gone for or any of that stuff. Let's just magically say this happens at SummerSlam and he defeats him, and then we somehow get Roman Reigns and The Rock next this year at WrestleMania. Like, I just don't think it needs the title there. Like, I don't know. Like,
But
I
you can
don't
also
think
win it
he
back.
needs to have
I
a
mean,
championship.
you could run Cody and
Fine,
Rock
he wins it
back.
back to the Royal Rumble.
Yeah, and Roman costs Rock there, setting up Rock and Roman at Wrestle. The two matches Rock needs to have are Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns. I think he needs a one-on-one match with each of those guys before he hangs the boots up. And here's the thing, I would have never thought we would get the Rock back in this fashion. And as somebody who grew up during, and as somebody who grew up on that, I always have an affinity for that. But in recent times when he would come back, the energy that it unlocked to bring us this final boss Rock, and that also ties into the story of which would make fans pissed if he wins. You know, oh, you're just gonna make yourself for there not to be a payoff.
Oh my goodness. All right. Well, I'm wondering, guys, send in your hot takes. I consider that one a hot take, Robin. I definitely do. The Rock defeating Cody Rhodes to me is a hot take. I don't know. Let us know. Send in your comments. Send in your super chats. Let's see what else you guys have to say. We got Gabriel Salazar here, who's Jay and Jimmy hug will get as big of a pop like KO and Sammy. KO and Sammy were very, very lovable. And Jay is very lovable, and obviously we love the Usos. But I think if the Jay and Jimmy match was a little bit stronger, the pop would be bigger. But at the end of the day, when you see two people come together, especially two brothers, the pop's going to be there regardless.
Oh yeah, I think it's gonna be crazy. I mean, people will forget about that match by then.
Yeah.
You have to remember the bloodline story. I can't. I actually don't think there is a comparable story. I don't know if there is an intrigue that is like. Yeah, the fans definitely will.
Sweet. I think the OC. I don't know. I think it's a little bit tired. All right, so I want to go ahead and get into some of these other topics, but those really were the two big topics here. But I want to go ahead and dive into the women's side of things because we had some interesting stuff that played out here today. So we had Bayley coming out, and she's the new champion. She's out there soaking up her moment, and she is interrupted by Tiffany Stratton. And Tiffany basically wants a shot at the title, but Bayley's like, no, I want to give this shot to Naomi. Naomi comes out, and Tiffany reminds her that she's already beaten Naomi. And Naomi's like, no, like, let's do this again. And Bayley goes, okay, fine. Whoever wins from this match, this will be the person that gets a title shot. So we end up seeing Naomi versus Tiffany Stratton, and Naomi ends up defeating Tiffany Stratton. And now we're going to be getting Bayley versus Naomi, and that is going to be happening next week already. And I see this as a good thing because I feel like the fact that they held off right now on Tiffany is because there's a bigger plan in store for her.
Well, Tiffany Stratton can be walking around with that money bank briefcase. There's no doubt in my mind. She's gonna. It's Tiffany time. When am I gonna cash it in?
I can see it. Tiffany time.
Is it Tiffany time to cash in? I don't know. They can switch and all that, but
Yeah.
I agree with you because I think it elevated Tiffany Stratton while also not burying Naomi. Because if Tiffany had beaten Naomi again, then Naomi was back, and you're like, all right, what's she doing here at this point, other than hanging around with Bianca and Jade? This gave Naomi a little bit of a moment. It gets Bayley a successful title defense, I believe, and it shows. It's as they say, story. That Tiffany Stratton is on the cusp of going for that championship and being involved in those programs. And ever since her big breakout moment in Australia, I think we do that.
I think so too, honestly. And what I liked about this too is that they have started been healing up Tiffany Stratton a little bit more because I think, again, like you mentioned, since she got at the Elimination Chamber, that's not a heel's reaction, that's a babyface reaction. And so WWE recognizes this, and they're like, no, we got to heal her up a little bit. Like, she can't be out there getting cheered like this. She's supposed to be a heel. So I like the way that they played out this match. I love Tiffany Stratton going out there and having the Cher Horowitz from Clueless inspired gear. Loved that. The match itself was fine. I did think that Naomi getting getting the win was a good thing here. And like you said, you can't have me having Naomi keep losing left and right. So overall, I thought that this was definitely a win. But speaking of a win, we also got another big win for Jade Cargill, and this time it was Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair versus Chelsea Green and Piper Niven. So, man, first of all, love seeing these two girls team up together, right? Like, they look freaking great together. But how are you feeling based on how they are portraying Jade right now? She had her singles match on Raw after Mania. She then had this match here, and she's pretty much going in and winning the same matches, like winning the matches in the exact same fashion, which is like to me, it's not surprising at all because again, I said this on Raw, but this is the same formula that AEW had for Jade Cargill, and we're seeing it unfold here, just in a little bit of a different fashion. And I don't know, but I am digging the team, man. I'm really digging the team.
Jane Goldberg, you mean? Yeah. Look, Jane is so impressive as a physical specimen. It's wild. If you think about it, Bianca Belair is like one of one, and then she stands next to Jade, and it's like, oh wow, like Jade is cut from a different cloth. Picture pin off, which is see how
like really. All right, we got Ice-T he here who says at this point Jade only
not gonna totally
ESPN radio here.
The challenge for Braun Breaker will be, all right, how does he get into a real feud? How does he do in a real feud? How does he do on the mic? How does he do when the matches get longer? Because both of those two are cut from the same cloth in the sense of they're really physically impressive. They come out, they dominate, and you go with each of them. Wow, they got bright futures. But those bright futures get realized by taking those next steps.
Right. No, you're right, because that's all we've seen so far on the main roster, specifically for Braun and for Jade Cargill. I think the only difference is, though, at least like for me and like the people who've seen Jade in AEW, it is like, okay, I've seen Braun Breaker wrestle on NXT. He's had phenomenal matches. He's done more than 2 moves and stuff like that. And versus we haven't seen that from Jade just yet. So I think that's the only difference is that we've seen what Braun Breaker can do on NXT. So we know that once he gets the opponent, that's the kind of matches we're going to be getting on the main roster versus Jade. We still don't exactly know yet what we're going to get from Jade. So I feel like those are really the only 2 big differences. But right now, when it comes to like the main roster portion of it and what we've been seeing, they have been presented in that exact same light where it's like you said, these incredible physical specimens that are just going out there and showing we're going to finish things and we're going to finish things fast.
Yeah, no, you're correct because you've seen Braun Breaker in NXT and he had
31. Triple H knows this. Yeah, we all next of the woods. At Toyota Arena, also Zack Sabre Jr. has regained the TV title from Matt Riddle. Thank you so much, Sheldon, for the.
But I've done millions and millions.
All right, now I got that out the way. Now I can time to do this. Show y'all what's happening on SmackDown. Enough of these damn commercials.
Well, basically saying story is finished. That would be the ending one.
Nick Allen prepared Chelsea and Piper. All right.
Tami Tonga.
Hold on. Let me show from the beginning. See what Solomon the sound off has to say. And then I'll show you guys JD from New York. And then I'll go do my review. There's still some backstage segments I want to show y'all that will happen on SmackDown. SmackDown pretty good.
From being dragged. And typically they have not. That is something I'd like to see Triple H make very clear. But we have to assume that Cody may end up being drafted to a completely different show. We'll have to wait and see. Maybe the champions will be swapped.
I hope
We
not.
know Two men are going to SmackDown next Friday. Only one of them will come out of that show as the number one contender for the WWE Undisputed Championship at Backlash, which is coming up in France at the beginning of. That will be either LA Knight or AJ Styles. And I think we all know who's coming out of that match next week with me. It's almost as if there was a certain someone who predicted that this very thing would happen many weeks ago. But AJ Styles always struck me as the best option to put in there with Cody Rhodes as his first post-Mania feud, right? I mean, you want him in there with somebody that you know it can give you great matches, but it's somebody that can be beat because you're not going to take the title off Cody this soon. AJ Styles just seemed to be the guy that fit the bill. But that's also why I thought AJ would win at WrestleMania. And then he went in there and he lost, as he's been doing now for a while. He had a title shot in January at the Royal Rumble, Fatal 4-Way, and he lost. He went to WrestleMania against LA Knight, and he lost. Tonight, though, he won. He was a winner in the main event. There were 2 triple threat matches on this show. LA Knight wins the first one. AJ Styles wins the second one. Now we get the rematch from WrestleMania on SmackDown next week. AJ should get his win back there. I think that's the right choice. While also agreeing with many of you that, yes, AJ should have gone over at WrestleMania, but he didn't. I still feel he's the best person for the job. But you're not going to put LA Knight in there with Cody Rhodes and then just have Cody beat LA Knight. LA Knight already lost to Roman Reigns a few months ago. You're going to give him another world title opportunity and beat him again? You think that would be good for LA Knight?
Exactly.
AJ Styles is a made man.
AJ Styles won this
AJ
match.
Styles may one day be WWE champion again before he retires. Now is not that time. But the stage is set for that next week. But the bigger story does not even concern the WWE Championship. The bigger story does not even concern Cody Rhodes. It concerns the bloodline and the pending civil war that is coming. You can see it. You know it's on the way. The seeds were planted for it tonight. Poor Jimmy Uso out there tonight. He got whacked by his own flesh and blood. He got whacked by Solo Sikoa. We have the debut of the newest additions of the bloodline. And he's not blood, but they consider him to be blood. Tami Tonga, after 14 years in New Japan Pro Wrestling at the age of 40, finally made the jump to WWE, and Tami Tonga made his debut tonight here on SmackDown. So as it turned out, SmackDown is the show that had the big post-WrestleMania surprise debut that we did not get on Monday night. We got it tonight on the Friday night show. I actually think SmackDown was the better of the 2 shows this week. And I didn't think Raw was a terrible show, but SmackDown, to me, was the more fun of the 2. Quality triple threat match in that main event, too, with Rey Mysterio, AJ Styles, and Kevin Owens.
And love the ending.
Pretty cool stuff there from those 3. But you look at what they did with the bloodline, and I'm going to get into all the details, but we had no Roman Reigns on the show. There was no Rock. There was no Roman Reigns. So that appearance we had by The Rock on Raw Monday night, when he told Cody Rhodes that he had to go away for a while, that was it. We're not going to see The Rock again for several months. He's going off to film a movie. We probably won't get him back until later in the summer. And no Roman Reigns, but we did get Paul Heyman, and we got Jimmy Uso, and we got Solo Sikoa. And Solo Sikoa was being a little more assertive than he usually said. Usually he's kind of in the background. He stands there, mean mugs the camera. He doesn't have much to say. And tonight you can see Solo Sikoa taking a more authoritative stance in the bloodline. Paul Heyman cowering in fear without the tribal chief there, right? Paul Heyman has no idea what's going on. Tami Tonga comes out. He attacks Jimmy Uso from behind. Solo destroys his brother, leaves him laying. Paul Heyman scared to death. Nobody plays a more terrified sort of abuse victim out there, this poor guy. Nobody plays that part better than Paul Heyman. And Paul Heyman was making it very clear this is not on the orders of the tribal chief. He has no idea what's going on here. Someone is not keeping him in the loop. There are lots of possibilities here to discuss about where this may be headed, who else may be showing up, what this means for the future of Roman Reigns. what this means for The Rock's role potentially in all of this. I love what they did tonight in that segment. And here we have a storyline in the blood. Now think about this. The bloodline really kicked off 4 years ago, or just about 4 years ago. And so here we are now. That was in 2020, really in the fall of 2020. We are now in the spring of 2020. Roman Reigns holding the title as long as he did. It got boring. There was a sameness to it. It was time to move on. It was time to turn the page and get the belt on somebody else. Let Cody finish his story and move on. And frankly, let Roman Reigns move on. Let the bloodline move on to whatever that next chapter might be, because the bloodline felt as if after SummerSlam, like the entire thing had really jumped the shark, especially when Jimmy just went back to Roman. For all the Usos drama last year, it's like, really? Jimmy just goes back? And so you're waiting to see if they can do something to try to breathe new life into this. The Rock did that. When The Rock came back and The Rock turned heel, The Rock was able to breathe new life back into the bloodline just by being part of it, just by coming out there and being part of the group and making you wonder what's going to happen at WrestleMania. Is he going to turn on Roman? Is there going to be some kind of a rift between the two at WrestleMania 40? There wasn't. There was no evidence of that. But now, all of a sudden, you throw in one new member. There could possibly be a second new member. In fact, there will be a second new member coming very soon. You can kind of see where things may be going here. People choosing sides. It's amazing. A couple of changes. How it can breathe new life into an old story. 4 years of the bloodline. It could easily go to 5 or 6. And I even said that going into WrestleMania. I said, look, there are new names who could be added to this group, Tami Tonga being one of them. And there's so many different things you could do as far as Roman and Rock, Roman and Solo, right? He said that Solo was kind of the heir apparent to being the tribal chief. There's a lot there. I just got tired of waiting for them to get to it. But now that it's here, and we saw what they did tonight, they have my interest. They have piqued my attention. I'm very curious now to see where this all goes. And we'll talk about where that might be. There is also a bit of breaking news, not major news, but breaking news nonetheless that I saw just before I went live here, which I thought was worth mentioning. And this comes from PW Insider. You know, there's been a lot of stories in the last few months, really, of one, I hate to even mention his name, but one Vince McMahon. And Vince McMahon has been selling off a lot of his shares in TKO to the point where now he's down to something like maybe 8% or whatever ownership of TKO. Has made hundreds of millions of dollars by selling his shares, but he still maintains a small piece, a small ownership of the company. Well, that may all be coming to an end because there was a filing late in the evening tonight submitted by TKO Group, an SEC filing, revealing that all of Vince McMahon's remaining stock in TKO are now registered for sale. So they have not yet been sold. They are now up for sale, which opens the door to the eventuality that Vince McMahon in the not-too-distant future may altogether divorce himself from TKO and WWE. And to think, all it took was Cody Rhodes name-dropping the NWA, watching SmackDown. I could picture Vince sitting there with the clicker in his hand, watching SmackDown, hearing Cody mention the initials NWA during his promo. And that was it. That was just a bridge too far. And Vince McMahon says, I have to get out of this entire thing. Good. So with any luck, he will be completely gone soon enough. That is the latest on that. This is your Friday Night Smackdown review. Maybe we should all get together here. We should all have 79,000 subscribers at the beginning of the week. We are well on our way to 80,000 subs. And look at this, Justin is subscribed. See, Justin is one of the many that are going to help me climb to 80K. The only question is, how quickly can we get there? Can we get there in the next few weeks? That would be amazing. So make sure you hit that subscribe button. I also want to thank you for joining me for my Dynamite review. Going to see one of the 6 men in the 2 triple tonight. That's who he's going to be defending his title against at the next show. He mentioned Could be Santos Escobar, everybody booed. Could be Rey Mysterio, everyone said, yay! Right? Lots of Rey Mysterio fans in the crowd. Rey Mysterio still looking to avenge that loss to John Cena many years ago, where he only had the WWE title for about an hour. You mentioned LA Knight, people like that. AJ Styles, he got mostly boos, but a little bit of a mixed reaction. Mostly boos, though, for AJ. He said AJ and himself, 2 of only 4 men who were ever the NWA champion and the WWE. So then there's Bobby, which got mostly cheers, but I will say I was kind of surprised how mixed the reaction sounded. So I was expecting mostly or all cheers, and it was definitely more of a mixed reaction to last year. And then there's his friend Kevin Owens, who of course got a big pop. He said it's not lost on him that they are very sold out here tonight in Detroit, so he turned his back so he could get a good view of the crowd. And then he left us with a message for those 6 men. He says, if you come at the king, you best not miss. Didn't I use that line recently? One of the reviews. Shout out to Omar. Great TV show. He said, and for the folks who watch SmackDown only and may be unfamiliar with him, my name is Cody Rhodes. He said, once undesirable, now undeniable, and our undisputed WWE champion. So a fairly benign promo. I do love him name dropping the NWA. I did like that. That's a fact that we would not have heard on TV before.
Yeah.
You know, Michael Cole every now and then would name drop bubble. You know, that's the way that Vince McMahon always operated. We don't really acknowledge what happens. Right? They're making him the face of the brand now. And the whole thing with him finishing the story, that was 2 years from the day he debuted and came back to the company in 2022. He came out on Raw the very next night. They put the picture of Dusty up on the Tron, and he explained to us what the story was. This is before finishing the story turned into a meme. 2 years later, he finished the story, and you hope that people will stick with him, because we know how fickle fans can be. You hope they stick with him for a while, and it's only been a week so far. It's been 2 TV shows, but they have been loud for Cody coming out of WrestleMania, which is good to see, because he's the guy. Whether you like it or not, they're going to have that belt on him for a while. He's going to be wrestling people, defending that championship. And so if you're WWE, you have to be happy with the reactions that he's been getting. $1 million in merch over WrestleMania weekend at the But it's nice to have somebody who will actually show up on the TV shows, will actually wrestle, not necessarily defend the title very often on TV, but somebody that we will actually get to see on the program, if not every week, on most weeks. That's a refreshing change. Now in the back, they showed Paul Heyman, Solo Sikoa, and Jimmy Uso walking towards what they thought was their locker room, the Bloodline locker room, but then they stopped in their tracks, and they looked. The camera panned over to show an American Nightmare sign on the door. And then Kevin Owens showed up. He walked in. He said, yeah, you guys can't go in. And he went inside. Solo Sikoa said that he would take care of him and he would take care of this. Heyman told him, look, winning and losing matters here. Don't tell that to Road Dogg. His head may explode. Don't let Road Dogg know that wins and losses matter, because we've been told that they don't. But Paul Heyman said winning and losing matters. Winning and losing has consequences. He says, we lost. Cody Rhodes is the champion, and that's his locker room. He says if they want it back, then the title has to come home to the Bloodline. That is by order of the Tribal Chief. We got a promo for Raw, which is coming up this Monday. They're going to be north of the border. They're going to be in Montreal, which is Sami Zayn's hometown. He is defending the Intercontinental title against Chad Gable in Montreal. I'm very much looking forward to that. But they also announced that Sheamus is making his return. So, I mean, the draft could shake everything up again. But for now, Sheamus is heading back to Raw. We know that from the promo they aired tonight. And what that means for his future, we'll see. Does he come back as a heel? Does he come back I mean, I would think he'll be back as a babyface. Now, whether they turn him heel remains to be seen. But if he's going to Raw, the Intercontinental title is on Raw. And it doesn't have to happen right away because Chad Gable has his story with Sami. I mean, unless Sami just beats him, and that's the end of it. But I can't imagine they're not going to play the story out with Chad Gable. But very interesting that Sheamus is returning to the brand that right now has the Intercontinental title. So that's something to keep an eye on. Now we had our first of two triple threat matches on this show, with the winners of both going on to SmackDown next week to compete for the right to become #1 contender for Cody's title at Backlash. This one had LA Knight, Santos Escobar, and Bobby Lashley. Once the bell rang, Escobar ran at Knight before he got double teamed by Knight and by Lashley. Knight tried to roll up Bobby, didn't work. Bobby got pulled out of the ring by LA Knight. They brawled for a little while before Escobar dove onto both of them. And SmackDown went to commercial at that point. Skipping ahead a little bit here, we had LA Knight fight out of a Phantom Driver attempt by Escobar. And he hit the elbow. Does he have a name for it? I don't even know if LA Knight's come up with a name for the big jumping elbow that he does. I'll just call it the jumping elbow for now. Escobar was in the crosshairs of LA Knight before Legado del Fantasma attacked him. It was Angel and Humberto. No disqualifications in a triple threat match, so it may as well be bloodline rules. So they attacked LA Knight from behind, and all three Legado. Carlito was in the background. He's made a few comments, but keep your eye on that. Again, if they have Dragon Lee in the LWO, you've got Rey now, Dragon Lee, and Carlito, and Zelina, and Joaquin, and Cruz. It's too many people. Somebody has to go. Carlito turning heel and breaking away. Whether that means he joins Legado, I don't know. But, he doesn't have to. Not everybody has to be attached to a certain faction. But clearly, I think Carlito is going heel pretty soon. So then, we had the Bloodline, or what's left of the Bloodline for now. Paul Heyman, Solo Sikoa, and Jimmy Uso out to the ring for a promo. This was the big segment here on this show tonight. Heyman said the Bloodline offers no excuses for what happened to WrestleMania.
It's the amazing
Oh, look who it is. Look who's joining us tonight.
All hail
$50, I appreciate it. Reigns has ordered that they accept accountability. At WrestleMania 39, he says, what happened? Roman entered the ring focused and unemotional. Cody Rhodes took his eye off the ball for 1 second, and he was distracted by Solo. He wasn't distracted by Solo. He got fucking spiked. It wasn't like Cody looked outside the ring and was distracted and then turned around and walked into a spear. He couldn't breathe. He had a thumb stuck in his throat. But he said Roman took advantage and successfully defended the title. At WrestleMania 40, Cody flipped the script up. Seth Rollins told Cody that he would be his shield, one unfinished piece of business that Roman Reigns had in his life. So when Roman had a chair in his hand and he could have smashed Cody Rhodes with it, what did he do? It would have been legal, he says, because it was bloodline rules. What did he do? He didn't do that. Why? Because after 10 years of waiting for revenge on Seth Rollins for his betrayal of the Shield, Roman Reigns gave in to temptation and his lust for revenge. He took his eye off the ball. Cody Rhodes was prepared. Just like that, it was over. Ladies and gentlemen, your new undisputed champion is Cody Rhodes. Now, I said when I did my WrestleMania Night 2 review, that was my favorite part of the match, or one of my favorite parts. I enjoyed the whole, Rock Cena showdown, Undertaker thing. Should have been Austin. But the part that I really liked was actually the part with Rollins when Roman had the chair and he had to make a decision on what to do. And ultimately, he chose revenge. He allowed himself to get emotional, and it cost him in the end. Realistically, though, because I've gone back and I've watched the match. It was an excellent match. In my mind, it's a 5-star. just on the emotion alone.
And then,
But what's kind of goofy about it when you really look back at it, it's like Roman had to make a choice, so he chose to hit Rollins. Realistically, Roman Reigns could have taken both of their heads off with the chair. Like, if you'll notice, after Roman hit Rollins with the chair, he threw the chair out of the ring. There was nothing stopping Roman Reigns from hitting Cody Rhodes over and over and over again with the chair. So it's like, Roman was just an idiot in the match. He threw the chair away when he didn't have to. But I get that they were telling a story, so I'll give them some leeway there. But really, if you stop and think about it, pretty stupid what he did. So then Heyman says, like a phoenix, though, rising from the ashes, you're a tribal chief. And before he could get another word in, Solo Sikoa stopped him. And Solo said, winning and losing matters, right? So there's consequences to losing, right? Paul said, right. Solo said, consequences means change. And Heyman had this terrified look on his face, but Solo slowly, because he thought he was being replaced. Solo slowly pushes Heyman out of the way, though. Now he's looking at Jimmy. Jimmy lost to Jay on night 1, WrestleMania. So Jimmy was ready to, like, you're looking at me like he's ready to step up to Solo, his younger brother here. Solo, though, puts his arms out like he's going to go for a hug, and he slowly goes in, and he gives Jimmy a hug. He tells Jimmy, you're my brother. I love you. Jimmy says, I love you too. Solo then lets go, and he turns to walk away. And as Solo Sikoa is going to walk away, a mystery man in a hoodie, he's got like a red, I don't know what it was, like a red flag or whatever hanging out of his back pocket, jumps Jimmy Uso from behind. And we don't have to wait very long to find out who it is. He pulls down the hood to reveal Tami Tonga, who, as Corey Graves points out, is the son of Haku.
Yeah.
Says he's been basically tearing it up in Japan now for years. But it was really when he brought up the fact that Tama is Haku's kid. That's when it really hit. Because it didn't really, I didn't think about it until that moment. Because I knew Tama was coming in. I knew he's been signed for a little while now. But it was in that moment when he mentioned that line there that I thought to myself, there was a specific reason why Haku was seated in the front row for the Hall of Fame. And there's, not only that, but he was sitting right next to Paul Heyman's kids. And Heyman even acknowledged Haku in his speech.
Yeah.
And at the time, it was, didn't really strike me as being anything that would be tied into a story. But now it's like, I see, now we know why he was acknowledged and why he was sitting right there front and center at the Hall of Fame. So it's the little details like that. It's the little details that I appreciate. So as Tama is pounding and kicking away at Jimmy, holds him up for Solo to hit not only one Samoan spike, but multiple Samoan spikes. Heyman is in the corner, cowering, almost crying. He looks, again, terrified. He's screaming no as Solo is destroying Jimmy with these spikes. And then he turns to look at Heyman, and Heyman is begging for his life. Solo, though, just brings him to the center of the ring next to he and Tama. Tama puts his finger up to do the salute. Heyman goes to pull his cell phone, and he goes to call Roman Reigns. Solo looks over and sees this. He snatches the phone out of Heyman's hands, and he throws the phone down on the ground and stomps on it.
Exactly.
So how about that? Solo Sikoa with the babyface turn. Bet you didn't see that coming. He put a stop to that shit real quick. No more calling Roman Reigns. We don't need another year of that. So Solo wasn't having any of that either. Tama leaves the ring. He grabs a chair. He brings the chair inside, and they set up the chair. Jimmy is in the corner, half dead on the mat. They wrap the chair around his neck. And Solo crouches down in the corner. He tells him, I love you, brother. Heyman is screaming now, practically in tears. This is not what the tribal chief wants. And Solo then hits the corner hip attack, driving the chair back into Jimmy's throat. That's the kill shot. Solo and Tami Tonga, they leave, and a terrified Paul Heyman goes with them. This was fantastic. This was fantastic. Not only for what they did, but for what it represents now in this story. Next chapter of this story going forward. I thought this was fantastic. Because just like that, they have breathed new life into this bloodline story 4 years in, at a time when it really needed it. Because it's been so long. And now The Rock, who came back for a little while there, is gone again. And we don't know how long Roman's going to be off TV for, so no Roman, no Rock. This bloodline story cannot survive if you don't have at least one of them on television every week to carry the story along. Roman has now lost the title. Rock is gone. He's gone back to Hollywood for a few months. It can't just be Paul Heyman and Solo Sikoa and Jimmy Uso coming out every week doing what? They had to make a movie. If they insist on continuing this story, something had to be done. And the most logical thing was, we need new blood. Even if it's not actually blood, right? Tom is not a blood relative, but you need new blood in the bloodline to keep the blood pumping. And this is exactly what they needed to do. Now, among the things that I really liked about this segment, I talked about how they needed to bring into the bloodline. Solo Sikoa has been a very one-dimensional character for a while. When he first came in and he was undefeated for a while and he wouldn't break, they would have these segments where everybody in the ring was practically, in tears laughing. Sami Zayn was trying to break them every single week. Solo was the one who would not break. He would bend, but he would not break. And that worked for a while. But now it's been so long that you get to a point where you've got to evolve the character. We got to see more of Solo's personality when he was in NXT. He was the Street Fighter. We don't really get to see it as much on the main roster as part of this story. He's the silent enforcer. His job is to stand there and look mean. At one point, you have to evolve. He has to show more personality, or he has to start speaking more. Here in this segment, he's taking more control. He's being more assertive than we have ever seen him before. So I think for Solo Sikoa as a character, finally moving on to this next chapter, this is the best possible thing that can happen. So I like that as well. Solo driving home the point that losing has consequences, right? Obviously that had implications for his brother because Jimmy lost at WrestleMania. But it also has implications for Roman Reigns because Roman Reigns lost at WrestleMania. Roman Reigns was the big loser of the weekend. He lost his title. He brought shame upon the family. And that's what I was talking about going into WrestleMania. How is The Rock going to react if Roman Reigns loses the title? Is that the approach they're going to take, where Rock is going to win on night one, he's going to pin Cody, and that's exactly what happened. And then Roman is going to lose the title on night two. Rock carried his end. Roman didn't carry his. And is that what's going to lead ultimately to this rift between the two and their eventual match, probably next year at WrestleMania? Although some people now are talking about WrestleMania in 2 years. But let's assume next year WrestleMania is the goal. Now, we don't know when Roman is going to be back on TV, but obviously we are already seeing the consequences playing out here. He's going to have a big problem when he returns, whenever that may be. Clearly, this was Solo acting on his own. And I shouldn't even say on his own. Acting without the approval of Roman Reigns. They made that very clear by what Paul Heyman was saying. This was not on the orders of Roman Reigns. This was not on the orders of the tribal chief. And this is where the bloodline civil war is. We've been wondering for a while, when is it going to come? When is Roman going to lose Solo? I always thought maybe it would happen whenever he lost the title. That would play into it, where if it was WrestleMania, there comes a point in the match where he loses Solo, and Solo walks out on him. Maybe he gets hit by accident, or Roman is yelling at him or something. And they didn't do that. But we knew that a bloodline civil war at some point was going to come. Tama breathes new life into the group, but he's not the only one. And so now it begs the question, when do we see Jacob Fatu? Jacob Fatu has reportedly signed with WWE. He was also backstage at WrestleMania. I don't know if he was backstage tonight. It's possible. But Jacob Fatu is going to be coming in very soon. Jacob Fatu fits in here like a glove. I've been singing his praises for a while, talking about how, man, he would fit so perfectly in that bloodline. Like coming out of WrestleMania, coming out of when Roman loses that title, he would be the perfect addition to the bloodline. Whoever it is that he replaces, that's kind of how I always envisioned it, where he would come in and he would replace somebody. You could even have him in solo tag matches together, representing the bloodline. He's coming in. It's just a matter of when. It's not a matter of if. But in the back lane, Kayla Braxton was standing outside the trainer's room where Jimmy was. And Paul Heyman walks out of the trainer's room, and he looks like he has seen a ghost. He looks like Jimmy died on the table or something. He just got the news. So he walks out of the room, and Kayla says, is Jimmy okay? He just shakes his head and says, to say no. And then he tensed up again because he saw Tami Tonga walk up to him. And Tama is just kind of looking him over. He's looking him up and down. And then Tama leans in and he says to him, by orders of the tribal chief. And Heyman looks confused by this. Solo Sikoa walks up and he actually smiles and flashes his taped up thumb. And then he walks away. And then Heyman wonders to himself, what the hell does that mean? What does that mean? Like he has no idea. So that could mean any number of different things. The one thing that it clearly does not mean is that Roman Reigns did not give that order. So if Roman Reigns did not give the order, was it The Rock? Is The Rock the one who gave the order? Because they didn't say final boss. They said by orders of the tribal chief. So is Solo Sikoa the new tribal chief? He was being talked up by Roman for months there as the heir apparent. Remember that time on SmackDown where he put his arm around Solo and called him the next in line, and Jimmy was all offended by that. And we saw Solo here, right? He flashed a smile and he walked away. He's being more assertive. Is he taking over as the new tribal chief? Or are they basically talking about The Rock? Which is what I tend to think here. I mean, words matter. Again, they didn't say final boss. They said tribal chief. But, either way, we are in for a completely new bloodline, possibly with Paul Heyman at some point being pulled in both directions. And Paul Heyman having to make a choice. Which side are you on? He's Roman's wise man, but right now he's with this crew here. Maybe Heyman gets stuck in the middle, and Heyman has to make a decision about where his loyalty lies. So we'll see where things go with him. But what I think we're looking at is you're looking on one side, you're going to have Solo Sikoa, Tami Tonga, and Jacob Fatu. On the other side, you're going to have Roman Reigns, a newly babyface Roman Reigns, reuniting with his cousins Jimmy and Jay. The Usos reunion is coming soon. And we're going to get Roman and the Usos back together on one side, 3-on-3. The Rock, of course, is the wild card here. That would be 4-on-3. Because whatever side Roman, wherever Roman lands, Rock will be on the opposing side. Because Rock is the one who's pulling the strings. Rock is still the boss, right? He's still the top dog here. And so he's the one who's pulling the strings. He's the one ultimately giving the orders. And so I'm very, very curious now to see which direction they go in here. What role Jacob Fatu ultimately fills. Is Jacob Fatu the new tribal chief, right? Maybe he's the new tribal chief. I don't know. But it's interesting to wonder, how they're going to take this here. If Rock is able to come back, and he's going to have his match with Cody, which they teased on Monday. If they're not going to wait for WrestleMania next year, and they're going to do it at SummerSlam, which might be a stretch, but if they can work it out where Rock is back by SummerSlam, then maybe Roman is back by then, and Roman costs Rock you know, as things play out and we find out Rock is the one who made the call and everything, that could then lead to Roman and Rock. I mean, there's a lot of possibilities. I'm very intrigued. You know, there's, like I said, Rock and Cody possibly at SummerSlam with Roman getting involved. We got War Games coming up at the end of the year. Then by then we get into WrestleMania 40. Maybe that's where we get Rock and Roman. That would make the most sense. They have my attention. They have my attention. Job well done. This is only one night here, but job well done. I am invested to see where this goes. And I love it. I'm happy for Tami Tonga too, because 14 years he spent in New Japan. And, you know, he's older than most people are when they are first brought into WWE. But this is obviously a great spot for him to be. And now he'll get to go out there and show what he can do. Jacob Fatu coming in, he's tremendously talented. And I have been waiting for a while to see him get this shot. So we should be seeing him very soon, and I'm highly interested. So this was excellent stuff. Now we see where the story plays out. See, when one chapter closes, another one begins. It's because Roman, and there were people saying Roman needs to continue to hold the title, and he's got to, you know, pass this person and that, and let him hold it for another year. Him holding the title hostage like that for another year would have been the worst possible thing that they could do. He had to lose the title for them to get to this point. If Roman is still the champion, none of this has happened. They decide, hey, you know what, we'll go another 6 months, we'll go another 12 months with him. This that we're seeing right now, this doesn't happen. So for the story to really, truly get interesting again, Roman had to lose at WrestleMania. It was the best possible creative decision they could make. Regardless of whatever bullshit record that people wanted to talk about with Hogan or anything else, this is exactly what needed to be done.
Exactly.
This is the right call.
Exactly.
Now we got a Cameron Grimes appearance on SmackDown.
Man, Cameron Grimes has not been used for months on TV. When's the last time he was used? I can't even remember. I think he wrestled Baron Corbin. That was last year, I think, a few months ago. He's not being used on TV. Well, he was here. He was here to pull over Braun Breaker. Braun Breaker won in like 1 minute.
The man lives. Yeah, you want to give somebody a new theme song, as long as it's better than the one they had before, go for it. Great. But when they actually downgrade, that's what I have a problem with.
Alright.
Soraya's brother debuted on Rampage tonight. That's cool. No, hey, if he could work and the AEW fans want to see him,
we had the bloodline.
Try Cascade Flat.
Don.
Enough of these damn commercials. Becky Lynch and Rollins update. CM Punk, another professional AEW segment.
Rich, not quite. We split that about 40 ways here at Fightful. But thank you so much, guys. We became the first wrestling property in the history. A little bit more about the Drew McIntyre thing in the coming days, because there were so many people that were hitting me up, like on tweets saying, "Oh, he's got to be working. He's working." When does he mention it? When does Drew McIntyre mention his contract? This is not an MJF Bidding War 2024 thing where I kept telling you guys, guy's under a deal. He's under a deal. He's under a deal. Drew McIntyre does not have a WWE contract after a very defined period in which may surprise some people. We'll have details on Fightful Select on. But I don't think he was even approached till last month. But a person who hasn't been approached is Natalya. And her deal is up next month. I thought it was it. A lot of sense here. I see a lot of people saying, how does he fit? He's not a member of the family, yada, yada, yada. Here you go. I'll do the heavy lifting for you guys. The Rock ain't actually
What?
and also, The Rock on Jimmy Kimmel, like 9 years ago, referred to Haku as Uncle Haku, Uncle Tonga. Haku and Jacob Batu's dad teamed together for years as the Islanders. He was named Tama back then, the Tonga Kid. So that's a natural connection right there. I know that people were being told about this possible alliance last week, so that makes an awful lot of sense as well. Tama Tonga, good for him.
Yeah.
And listen, I don't know how Solo is going to do on the mic because we're just starting to hear it. I know how Tama does on the mic, and very, very well. As long as he doesn't shout out
Yeah, that's how
words
it's
or
gonna be.
anything like that. But
You and me.
Well, I can say as somebody that covers the NXT product that we didn't see a ton of Solo on the mic, but he definitely held his own. He held his own as a face really well. He has a very
Because this is how it's
inviting
gonna be.
delivery.
You and me are
Someone that's really refreshing, I feel
And
like, in
I beat
WWE
you.
because he's
You
not someone
love
that's
me,
shouting at you, and not someone who's overly emphatic in his delivery. I feel like you can kind of get trapped in that WWE cadence. He does it. He has a very grounded approach in the things that I saw from him. So very, very excited to see that. I'm very happy for Tama Tonga. Obviously, bloodline stuff. Also, Bullet Club history. There's a few ways that they could have gone. Certainly seems like we got some clarity tonight and what was a really fun segment, I thought, and definitely enlightening about what's next for the bloodline. But anything else that you want to talk about in the way of Jacob Fatu?
he has signed. So Corey Brennan had found out that he was telling people this over the weekend. I followed up. I was told much of the same. And the reason he had been kept out was because of the charge that he had years and years and years ago. I think it may have restricted his travel. Don't know if it still does or anything like that. But I mean, listen, WWE has hired people like that in the past, and perhaps, but I'm not trying to minimize it or anything like that. But last year when I heard about Hikuleo and Tama Tonga interest, I didn't hear anything about him.
We've got more going on. Get has been a consistent down. Vivian, please get more time. Yes, I would love to see that. So glad.
All right. Might as well just skip this so I can show you guys JD from New York. And we'll get into that.
We know what the role for Paul Heyman is right now. I thought this was really good, man. I really liked the way it was laid out. I love the chair shot callbacks. I love Tama Tonga getting this opportunity. That guy worked his ass off in New Japan for a long time. There are a lot of financial barriers in keeping New Japan talent in Japan right now. So absolutely adore seeing this. What are your takes? And then we've got some super chats that we'll get to.
Yeah, no, I enjoyed it. I don't. It seems like maybe, with Roman not being around, is Paul really safe? They're setting things up. They're setting little golden nuggets for you. I've been using this term a lot today. Threading. Those are things that I'm seeing with this era that are coming out. I'm using those keywords because it's exactly what's happening. With the way that they brought in Tama Tonga. Now, here's one of the problems with bringing in like someone like that who was in New Japan for so long and whatnot. First, before everyone else in the arena does it, they don't know it. So I'm very happy to see him there. Maybe the writing's on the wall. Maybe we see the Usos versus Tama and Solo, like
Sure.
the rejuvenation of the Samoan tag teams. This is great because the Samoan families and whatnot, they've all been good on their own. But damn, those tag teams back when I was growing up, when I was watching them, they were incredible. So
They were wild. They're the wild Samoans, I tell you. Aaron Burr and Gunsing.
Jesus.
It does make sense.
Always happens. Better keep his eyes on the final boss. I wouldn't be surprised one was from The Rock, if that's the case.
It made sense.
Same for him.
So I think we will get Jacob Fatu. I wonder, we could get Solo and Jimmy at Backlash, and then Jacob Fatu makes his debut. And then and then it'll be Jacob, Tami Tonga, Solo, again, the Usos and Roman Reigns, probably somewhere down the line. And then we'll see where The Rock fit, where the final boss fit. What if he's the one calling the shot, making all the calls? And then we can somehow tease Rock and Roman. Rock will be the heel, Reigns will be the babyface. And there it is, WrestleMania 41.
Over feed.
I do have a feeling that we could get Rock and Cody at SummerSlam, hopefully, so we get that out the way and do Roman and Seth probably at that same time.
Since 1882, Galvani cheesemakers have been the mozzarella experts.
17 months. Did CM Punk make a comment about?
How long with this, man? Because now we know Reigns is a part-timer, so he's not gonna be there. He may be back, maybe at Saudi Arabia, maybe Money in the Bank or SummerSlam, since those are your big pay-per-views. Hopefully he's back. We could get Solo and Roman down the line. I think we will get that. They teased it a few times during our hit title, and they teased it last year. This year we could get Solo and Roman. That could be your big match. I think we'll get Rollins and Reigns first, and then we get Solo and Roman. Then we can do Rock and Roman and WrestleMania next year, hopefully.
Your Friday nights, wherever you
The new
may be. Tonight, sponsored by DraftKings. DraftKings is going to be a major part of UFC 300. We will talk about my friends over at DraftKings a little bit later on in the show. Tonight, sponsored by DraftKings. Download the app and make sure you guys take advantage of the special offer that OTS is offering everybody tonight. All you need to do is bet $5 and get $150 back in bonus bets. Use that promo code JD from NY after downloading the app. DraftKings, tonight's sponsor on Off the Scripts. SmackDown. I sense a lot of people enjoyed SmackDown tonight. I sense a lot of people also were wondering, well, where was the Friday night after WrestleMania? Not a lot happened tonight. That usually would happen for a show following WrestleMania. I'm going to reiterate this again after I've already told you what happened on Monday. There is a draft coming up in about 3 weeks. Whatever you see on television, minus the bloodline, is all going to disappear after the draft. You may get a feud still lingering on after the draft because both participants or whoever is in a feud that WWE wants to keep going may end up on the same brand. Backlash is a throwaway show. Honestly, nothing that happens at Backlash will carry forward after the WWE draft. So I want to get that out of the way right now. The bloodline. A lot of people were wondering what is going to happen with the bloodline. What is WWE's major story now that Cody's story is finished? Cody may have won the WWE Championship. And we have a super chat already because Phantom knows SmackDown was cooking tonight. I know number one in the IWC. And if anyone has anything different to say, they can come talk to me. Nobody looks like we do. They all suck. WWE or AEW. They both championship. Roman Reigns is subsequently off television in the interim, he will be back. The Rock, Roman Reigns, both off television. Rock is going to film a movie. He'll be back somewhere rumored to be late summer. So what does that mean for Jimmy? What does that mean for Paul Heyman? What does that mean for Solo Sikoa? Now, if they wanted to take a break with the bloodline in general, they could have easily done that. They could have taken Paul Heyman and put him with Braun Breaker, a new client of Paul Heyman, the advocate for Braun Breaker. I hope that still actually does happen. I'd love to see it. But a lot of people wondered what happened. We got our answers tonight. Solo Sikoa looked at Paul Heyman and addressed Paul Heyman when they walked by the locker room that was formerly Roman's, which is now Cody's, because he's the WWE champion. Paul Heyman stopped him and basically said, wins and losses matter around. That's a first one. You would have never heard that in the Vince McMahon era. Triple H era, wins and losses do matter. But he didn't mean it in that way. He didn't mean it in the way where Tony Khan foolishly gives us rankings and then doesn't do anything with them. He means Roman lost. Roman gets all that he previously had taken away from him until he wins it again. I'll stop there because we got Billy Sizane with a $100 super chat. Billy Bomb. JD, thank you. Billy, another rounder. I will be getting my cheap shots in on Tony Khan. Is priority. That is now Cody Rhodes. So they're in the ring, and Paul Heyman is addressing Cody Rhodes as the new champion. Solo Sikoa looks at Paul Heyman and asks the wise man again, wins and losses do matter. Yes. Consequences are to be had if you don't win. Yes. He looked over at Jimmy. Jimmy, we all know, lost to Jey Uso at WrestleMania. He goes over to Jimmy and he hugs Jimmy. Tells Jimmy Uso, his brother, he loves him. Jimmy, you hear him with his back turned to the camera, utter the words, I love you too, Us. Solo backs away, walks away. I legitimately thought he was getting a spike. He did not yet. All of a sudden, we see a hooded figure run into the ring and absolutely destroy Jimmy Uso from behind, which is then revealed to be Tami Tonga, former New Japan Pro Wrestling star. Solo Sikoa then joins in and absolutely brutalizes Jimmy Uso. Samoan spike after Samoan spike. Tami Tonga beating the shit out of Jimmy Uso. Paul Heyman in the corner, not knowing what to think. Solo then takes a chair, wraps around Jimmy's neck, and does the Rikishi splash in the corner. With the chair wrapped around Jimmy's neck. Solo Sikoa and Tami Tonga walk out of the ring. And it looks like they are in business for themselves. Later on in the show, Paul Heyman walked out of the trainer's room where he was with Jimmy Uso to get Jimmy Uso diagnosed for the injuries that he may have suffered. Kayla Braxton's out there asking Paul Heyman what the hell happened out there. Walking up to Paul Heyman is Tami Tonga. He stares him in the face. Paul Heyman shaking, scared, not knowing what's going to happen next. Tami Tonga then looks at Paul Heyman and says, without really saying it, move out of the way. But he says, that was by order of the tribal chief. Nobody knows what that means. And that's the way we got that particular story this week. No more. We have to find out what happens next week. First of all, WWE absolutely needed something long-term that was going to take them from WrestleMania all the way to next WrestleMania. This should be the norm here. I'll get to David in a second with another $100 bump. This needs to be the norm. WWE is afforded this right now and very lucky to have this because of the family lineage with the new signings that they're bringing on in that are a part of the family lineage. Coincidentally, it makes it a lot easier when you're bringing in big name free agents and they're a part of the fucking NOI family. WWE needs this on an annual rotation. Every WrestleMania, what's the big storyline? That wraps up. Wrap it up. WrestleMania is the season finale. Come the following week or whenever the draft happens, that's when we get the next major story, whatever it is. WWE, like I said, has been afforded the opportunity to take one story that wrapped up at WrestleMania, continue that same story with the same characters, and have it bleed into next year's WrestleMania. That is perfect. And I love that. And that's exactly what WWE needed. That's exactly what AEW needs. They don't understand it yet. I will let them know every single week, and I will make them understand. This was fantastic. And before I get into anything else, David Fearing with a $100 bomb. Let's keep this bomb party going. Appreciate the work you have done, JD, the week prior and after WrestleMania. You deserve to have a few cold ones this weekend. By the way, just wondering how you are holding up. That voice and rest-wise, great work as always. David, thank you so very much, brother, for your $100 super chat. My voice is not any better, but it's also not any worse. Not like I'm doing screaming and a lot of talking in my time away from what I do here. I played a lot of Destiny 2 today by myself, and I tried to do the new activity that they just introduced to the game to try and hunt for a god roll recluse. But when I'm on here, man, I always give 120%. So this weekend, I recorded a video for you guys tomorrow. We got some news and rumors going out tomorrow. And then Sunday, I don't know, depending on what happens. I just may take the day off. So we will. Looks like when Roman Reigns is gone for all this period of time, that he's going to come back as a babyface. It's not going to be the boring, cringe, Shield-like babyface that Vince McMahon tried to shove down our throats. He's going to remain the same Roman Reigns that we have seen over the last 4 years. But he will be a conquering babyface. Everything that Roman Reigns had is going to be taken away from him. I do think, and this is a prediction, I do think that Solo Sikoa is acting on behalf of The Rock. Again, it's just a prediction. I think that we're going to get a whole new bloodline without Roman Reigns. I think The Rock targeting Cody Rhodes for the WWE Championship was very telling as well on Monday night. There was no Roman Reigns there. He just kind of butted into the plan. He basically told Cody, that title, I admire that title. I want that title. Cody even let him hold the title.
What I didn't like.
He came out basically challenging Cody Rhodes for the WWE Championship, but he needs to go away for a little bit. Why did he need to go away for a little bit? He didn't give us the real reason why he went away. He gave us a kayfabe reason. You're looking at it. He's going to have Solo Sikoa do his dirty work while he's gone. And in the meantime, we're going to get a battle of bloodline with Solo, Tami Tonga, Jimmy Uso, and Jey Uso. That's where it starts. But I do think Solo Sikoa is acting on behalf of The Rock. I think The Rock is forming a new bloodline. I think the bloodline that we do end up getting, I don't know if anybody else is going to be added. But I do think that Rock, Solo, Tami Tonga, and Jacob Fatu are going to be in the same bloodline together. I do think that Solo was acting on behalf of The Rock, and the way things are going to go down is that's going to be your new bloodline, and when Roman Reigns comes back, he's going to have his own bloodline. He is going to reunite with the original bloodline. Roman, Jimmy, Jay, and Lance. That's what's going on. Or Zilla Fatu, whoever they want to bring on in. The other brother that we haven't seen yet. Could be any one of those. I do think that we are ultimately headed for a bloodline civil war, a bloodline war games is where we're going. Fantasy-like, I get it. But I do think that's the ultimate end goal. And the chronological order of the way things are going to go down, you saw the first chapter of that happen. You saw Tami Tonga and Solo Sikoa, Jimmy and Jey Uso. That will be the battle for now. Rock's not going to be back till the end of summer. Roman probably not going to be back till around the same time. They'll get Roman Reigns off. This is the norm for Roman Reigns' schedule. We'll probably get that at Backlash. We may get it in Saudi. We may get it somewhere this summer. And then that'll be the first order of business. The second order of business would be bringing in Jacob Fatu. Having Jacob Fatu come into the bloodline and join The Rock as his enforcer. Rock versus Cody Rhodes at SummerSlam for the WWE Championship. That's where we get Roman Reigns coming back and making his presence known and basically starting the feud between Rock and Roman Reigns, which will then take us into Survivor Series and War Games. But not before Roman has to battle Solo Sikoa. Not before Roman has to battle Jacob Fatu. We'll probably get a mix of matches, which leads to War Games, like I said. Rock, Jacob Fatu, Tami Tonga, and Solo Sikoa against the original bloodline, Roman, Jimmy, Jay, Lance Anoa'i, or Zilla Fatu, whoever they want to bring on in. I know WWE was also interested in Hikuleo. I don't know how he would factor into this. Which will then give way to the match that was supposed to be the original plan. Rock versus Roman Reigns, no championship for the bloodline. Rock versus Roman, main event of WrestleMania Night 2. Sounds like it's a great storyline to carry WWE from one Mania into the next, if you ask me. Jey Uso's going to get drafted back to whatever brand his brother is on. I think we've seen all we could see of Jey Uso on Monday night. He's been a tag team champion. He's battled Gunther. I don't think he's going to factor into the world championship. I just don't see him being that yet. This is much bigger than the world heavyweight championship for Jey Uso. Jimmy Uso needs Jey Uso. Jey Uso needs Jimmy Uso, though Jey has made his own star shine bright. Is he that guy yet? No. There is a ceiling. He is not a world champion caliber performer. He's got the makings of one, but he's not there. Jimmy, on the other hand, needs Jey. The Usos need the bloodline. Roman needs the Usos. Roman and the original bloodline needs to happen with this story. That's just the way that I see it. And if you don't like that, I'd love to hear what you guys have in mind Whether you want to leave it in the chat to discuss amongst everybody else that's watching me right now, or you can leave it in the comment section so I can see it after the video posts. Very interested to see where you guys want to see this go. But I do think that this leads to Rock and Roman and some in the bloodline. Final boss and the tribal chief. I don't know how WWE takes this, because the rumor is Dave Meltzer's throwing some silly rumor around that Cody Rhodes versus The Rock is going to be the match that they do at WrestleMania next year. Why? Why is that the match? I don't really get it. How long do you think that this is going to last?
Exactly. I don't know why he's saying that. That's not happening. There is no fucking way, no reason for Cody and The Rock to be WrestleMania. It's not gonna main event. It should main event, and it doesn't need the title. Can now can be too predictable. Can only expect The Rock to beat him for the title, and it doesn't need the title. The feud is more personal than that. You're not gonna wait a whole year for Cody Rhodes to face The Rock. And if it does happen at WrestleMania, it doesn't need the fucking title. Because The Rock ain't beating Cody Rhodes. And why would you have The Rock take an opportunity away from someone else? Anything could happen over a year. Storyline could change. People can get hurt. Who wins the Rumble? Who wins the Chamber? It's not fucking happening. It's not gonna be for the title. There is no reason to drag out Cody and The Rock. I get that match at SummerSlam or do it at Crown Jewels, and that's it. Roman Reigns and The Rock will be a main event for next year's WrestleMania, and that's it.
WWE really hit a wall with the bloodline story, and the only thing that saved it is Rock. Given The Rock's schedule, we don't know how long he's going to be on television. Given some of the down periods we've seen when Roman wasn't on television, the bloodline story really suffered when major players were not a part of it, and weeks went by where there was no continuity, there was no continuing of the story in any aspect whatsoever, and it just fell flat on its face. Quality over quantity. We don't need another 2 years of this. Everything that I just laid out can be played out in 1 year.
Exactly.
Hopefully that's the way that they go.
Because 2 years is way too long to wait to do Rock and Roman. I mean, The Rock may not be able to wrestle as good as he did at WrestleMania on night one. We're not waiting 2 fucking years for this. This should happen next year, and that's it. This is the downfall of the bloodline. We will get Jimmy and Jay reunite. We will get them taking on Solo and Tonga, and Jacob Fatu gonna get involved. Then we'll see Roman Reigns. We'll do a 6th man with the Bloodline versus Bloodline 2.0, and then we'll see where The Rock fit in. So hopefully that happens.
But I thought the storyline, I thought the segment tonight was tremendous. It's exactly what WWE needed. And I was wondering what that storyline was going to be, when we were going to get these rumored names coming on in. Tami Tonga is here. Jacob Fatu is supposedly confirmed to be signed. And you talk about a fucking game changer. Wait till you see Jacob Fatu. If they let him be him, oh my goodness. I'm loving it. I thought that segment was fantastic stuff. And Solo, I will say this about Solo. That was the best presentation of Solo ever. Solo's been such a background player. Solo has been such a loser. Not in a derogatory way. He's been a loser. They use him to basically forward things and get a bloodline match out of the way so the babyface can go ever, and they give him the loss. Solo Sikoa is basically the fall. It was great to see him be his own man, stand on his own 2 feet, give some back, be a fucking boss, because that's exactly what they groomed him. Love it. Absolutely love it. We will get into the rest of the show tonight. I want to thank you guys very, very, very much for joining me here on OTS. What a tremendous week. We're going to go over Cody Rhodes and what his promo detailed. We're going to go over what the Backlash will be. 2 triple threat matches to determine who wrestles Cody Rhodes in France. Be live at Collision Saturday. UFC 300. What do you believe The Rock when he said he was going up to Hollywood and he would be coming back to look for him? He says he won't have to look very far because he'll be standing right there. He said that's in the rear view, but now they have to look forward. He said in 3 weeks they'll be flying to the first international premium event in France for Backlash. He says he's going to face one of the 6 wrestlers competing tonight in 2 3-way matches. He listed each name, and the names were very predictable. Very, very predictable. LA Knight, Bobby Lashley, Santos Escobar, AJ Styles, Rey Mysterio, and Kevin Owens. Now, I'll get to some of these people being there and why they were there and why some of these people shouldn't have been there, yet they were there anyway. I know people are going to be complaining about the likes of AJ Styles. Well, why is AJ Styles in a championship contender match? He just lost to LA Knight at WrestleMania, man. There's a fucking draft. Stop asking ridiculous questions. Who gives a shit? Backlash. They're not built into a SummerSlam or a Survivor Series or a Royal Rumble. It's fucking Backlash. What is Backlash? A bunch of nothing matches anyway.
Yeah.
I'll do the complaining when that happens in a month where they have the draft and the rosters are set and then things don't make sense. That's when you'll hear me complain. Right now, tonight, for this, no. He said in 3 weeks, he'll be flying to France. Great. He says he's noticed that the arena is packed. He says he was going to turn his back to the camera because he wants to see everyone in Detroit. He said he's no longer the hunter, but now he is the hunted. If you come at the king, you best not miss. He mentioned he was once undesirable, then undeniable, and now the undisputed WWE champion. Not Universal champion, WWE champion. They could be doing away with the Universal Championship as they should because it was a title that Vince McMahon strictly and only created for Roman Reigns. That's it. The Universal title, believe it or not, was used to further the Roman Reigns agenda. That's all it was created for. Cody's promo didn't really do much of anything. It was just, hey, make an appearance. Hey, be on SmackDown. Hey, address your audience. You're the new champion. And get everybody excited about your potential new champion. That was it. Nothing was built here coming out of Monday. He mentioned The Rock. He got his obligatory Rock reference. Rock is going to Hollywood. He believes The Rock is going away for Hollywood. And when he comes back, he's going to be eyeing Cody Rhodes. Keep it in the back of everybody's mind. Cody Rhodes' promo didn't really offer anything new. It was basically, hey, I'm the new guy. I'm the new champion. This is my show now. Great. Backstage, Jimmy Uso, Solo Sikoa, and Paul Heyman walked up to a door that said the American Nightmare. Kevin Owens walked past them and said, they're not invited as he walked in. He pointed them towards the broom closet. Solo says he'd take care of it. Heyman said winning and losing matters, and there are consequences to losing. You can't go in. That belongs to Cody. That's the champion. Cody occupies it. He said to get it back, they have to win the belt back. And that's by order of the tribal chief. Interesting. First time we heard that line tonight, it would not be the last. First of 2 triple threat matches. Bobby Lashley and Santos Escobar The winner of this match goes on to wrestle the winner of the second triple threat match, which will then lead to a one-on-one match later on next week. And then that match will lead to who wrestles Cody Rhodes at that match. I did not enjoy this match. I thought this was the I would say the least interesting of the two triple threat matches that we saw tonight. Escobar, I don't know what they're doing with Escobar. I feel like Escobar, after he turns heel, I feel like Escobar has been absolutely directionless. I don't know where they go with Santos. I don't. Bobby Lashley, he's leading the group with Street Profits and B-Fab. And then we got LA Knight, who's still red hot. WWE, I don't know what they're going to be doing with LA Knight going into summer, but I had predicted that LA Knight, after beating AJ Styles at WrestleMania, I do think that they're going to be building LA Knight and Logan Paul going on into SummerSlam, because Logan Paul is from Cleveland, and LA Knight wrestling Logan Paul for the United States Championship, giving LA Knight a major title victory over LA Knight, or Logan Paul rather, for LA Knight would be the way to go. So we'll see what happens. But I'm more worried about Santos. I don't know what they're doing. I don't. He got embarrassed in the feud with Rey Mysterio. That match was a total dud at WrestleMania. What are we doing with it? There was so much upside to Santos, and the feud with Rey Mysterio just fell flat on its face. So once the bell rang here, Escobar ran at LA Knight before he got double teamed by Knight and Lashley. Knight tried to roll at Lashley. That was no good. So early in the match, you're not going to beat Bobby Lashley that way. Lashley was pulled out of the ring by LA Knight. They brawled for a little bit. Escobar dove through the ropes on both of them. And we go to a commercial break. Come back from break, Lashley and Escobar are fighting. Both men were on the top turnbuckle. Escobar tried to escape. LA Knight jumps on the top rope like he usually does and tried to go for his signature superplex. But Lashley powerbombed both Knight and Escobar down and pinned Escobar for a near fall. Knight fought out of a phantom driver because Escobar wanted to go for his finish. As he hit the big elbow on Santos, Escobar was now in the sights of LA Knight before Legado del Fantasma attacked LA Knight. There's no DQ here, so it would give Escobar the man advantage here because of the no DQ rule. They attacked LA Knight, flattened him with a triple powerbomb. They laid waste to Bobby Lashley next, and then the Street Profits come on out, and they shoo away Angel and Humberto. They chased those two guys off. Lashley took Escobar down with a flatliner, which looked awful, and he wanted to finish him off with a spear. Escobar next week on Friday Night Smackdown, where I do think AJ Styles will challenge Cody Rhodes for the WWE Championship. I have absolutely no problem with that. That's the type of competition that I want Cody Rhodes to have as the WWE Champion, whether it's a 1 week thing, 2 week thing, just going into Backlash or not. Maybe they continue with going into Saudi. I have no idea. But I think it's going to be great. This was an okay match with the right guy obviously coming out on top, Backstage, the LWO were interviewed. Taylor Braxton interviewed Rey Mysterio and the rest of the group. She asked Rey to comment on Escobar's loss. Rey called it karma. He accused Santos of attacking Dragon Lee. Said it will come back to bite him. Taylor said he denied it. Of course they denied it, or he denied it. Carlito interjected and said, of course he denied it. Yes, of course. Of course he denied it, Santos. That silly Santos. Because Carlito attacked Dragon Lee. Ray said the truth will eventually surface no matter how much you twist it. Ray talked about being inducted into the Hall of Fame and forming the LWO, but he said deep down, he truly feels he has another run as WWE champion. No. No, he doesn't. Carlito is the guy that attacked Dragon Lee. Carlito has every reason to attack Dragon Lee and not want to be a part of the LWO anymore. Ray overlooked him twice. Why would he want to be in a group where he feels like an absolute nobody and an absolute outsider? Does he join Santos and join Legado del Fantasma? I don't know. We will see what happens. But I honestly, from me to you, I am tired of the LWO and Legado. I think it should have ended at WrestleMania, and we should be moving both groups on to something completely different. But like I said, there's a draft, and right now there really isn't anything better for these groups to do. So let's see it play out over the next 3 weeks, and hopefully they have new plans post-draft for both LWO and Legado del Fantasma. The Bloodline, Paul Heyman, Solo Sikoa, and Jimmy Uso made their entrance. This was by far the best spot, best segment of the night. Heyman stood middle of the ring, introduced himself to the Detroit crowd. Said by the orders of the tribal chief, they make no excuses for what happened at WrestleMania. He says they don't blame John Cena. They don't blame The Undertaker. They don't blame Jey Uso. He said the tribal chief has ordered that they accept accountability. So he said by orders of the tribal chief, they make no excuses and they don't blame John Cena, The Undertaker, or Jey Uso. So then that means Jimmy Uso should be okay. He should be in the clear with the tribal chief. If that order is coming directly from the tribal chief, for Paul Heyman to go out there and say to the crowd tonight, a little eye opener there. He said at WrestleMania 39, Cody took his eye off the ball just 1 second, distracted by Solo, and then Roman took advantage and retained his title. He said at WrestleMania 40, Cody flipped the script. He said when Reigns had a chair in his hands at WrestleMania 40, he could have smashed Cody with it legally. He didn't. Why? Well, we all told you. I told you. Heyman just repeated and reiterated what we all. When I was live on Sunday, the WrestleMania 40 post show, night 2, to go over why Reigns was standing there with the steel chair, Rollins on his left, Cody on his right. He opted to hit Rollins. Rollins promised Cody that he would be his shield. We didn't know what that meant when Rollins said that weeks before WrestleMania. We all thought that he would be in his corner. By him saying he was going to be his shield, we all thought that Rollins was merely going to be battling alongside Cody Rhodes, backing him up if he needed. We did not know that Rollins meant legitimately dressing up as his old character in the Shield with the vest, coming down to the old Shield music, not knowing which way he was going to attack. And then he gets in the ring, and he absolutely is Cody's Shield. Because when Roman laid eyes on Rollins wearing the entire Shield getup, it brought back old memories, it brought back anger, it brought back revenge. Remember, Roman has never beaten Rollins one-on-one clean. Rollins has had Roman Reigns' number. They may actually get back to that at some point. I hope they do. Because every time those guys are in the ring, it's always a barn. But he was his shield. It was a tactical mission, basically. He played mind games with Roman. He knew that he had Roman's number, not physically, but mentally. So Roman opted to hit Seth Rollins because Rollins did the same thing to Roman when he turned on Roman and the Shield and joined the corporation, Triple H. Roman Reigns has wanted revenge for that moment for his entire career. That's what Seth Rollins meant when he told Cody, I will be your shield. I mean, the way that they made it sounded dull. Yeah, he's going to be in his corner. But what they really turned it into was fucking brilliant. Because it was a callback to what those two guys have gone through for years and what Roman still lives with today. And they applied it to Roman's mental state because he figured, I got this opportunity. I wanted this opportunity. I got this guy beat. Let me blast this guy with the chair that I wanted to for fucking how many years now, and then I'll go on and retain my championship. It didn't work out that way. I mean, you know, we criticize WWE for logic gap here and, you know, some boring, lame stories that don't really flesh out the way we want here and there. I mean, that part of the story was fucking brilliant. No matter how you feel about Cody, no matter how you feel about Roman, no matter how you feel about the match, just that aspect of the match, to call back to that, to apply it to Cody finishing his story was fucking brilliant. Honestly, you don't appreciate that, man. You don't appreciate the beauty of, and I wouldn't even call that long-term booking. That to me is a callback, but they took the long-term history between Roman and Rollins and applied it to make it make sense. Now, it's beauty. I love it. So, Heyman asks why, and he goes on to describe why. After 10 years of waiting on revenge on Seth Rollins and betrayal to Shield Reigns, gave into temptation. He said Reigns was distracted by his lust of revenge on Rollins. He said Cody was prepared and strategic and ready. And like that, it was over. He calmly said Cody is the new undisputed champion. Now, I don't know if we're going to have a problem with that. I don't know if The Rock is going to call back to that eventually to blame Roman for losing the title and embarrassing the bloodline. I don't know if Rock is going to throw back to that and give Roman a verbal lashing for putting himself over the family. Again, I don't think that particular instance is over with yet. I do think that they do eventually call back to that, and I do think that will be an eventual go-to for The Rock to create dissension between him and Roman. There's a reason why Paul Heyman is mentioning it again here in the context of this promo, because WWE doesn't, especially Paul Heyman, doesn't say things without it coming up again or leading to something. He said Reigns was distracted by his lust of revenge on Rollins. He said Cody was prepared, and like that, it was over. Heyman's voice got louder as he said Reigns will rise from the ashes, and Solo interrupted and started staring at Paul Heyman. He said if winning and losing matters, then there are consequences to losing. So that means consequences need change. Again, that line is going to come back and mean something eventually. Jimmy Uso was not the only one who lost at WrestleMania. Roman lost. Consequences need change. I don't think Roman's giving the orders. Roman aside and Heyman looked concerned. He took a step toward Jimmy, who asked if he's blaming him. He hugged Jimmy, said he loves him, stepped away, and a man in a black hoodie, Tami Tonga, attacked Jimmy Uso. Graves said that's the son of WWE legend Haku, who's been wreaking havoc in Japan for years. Heyman's reaction basically gave it away that this was not the plan. This was not by orders of the tribal chief. He took his hoodie off, he lifted Jimmy. Solo gave him a Samoan spike. Heyman in the corners yelling no. He landed several more Samoan spikes. He let out a big yell. Heyman in the corner, terrified. Solo turned to Heyman, who was cowering in fear. Solo asked him to raise his arm in the air, and he did. With his other hand, he took his phone to call Roman Reigns. Solo yanked the phone out of Paul Heyman's hand and broke Paul Heyman's iPhone by stomping on it repeatedly. Tami Tonga then brought in a chair. Solo put it over Jimmy's head and neck. Heyman yelled, "This is not what the tribal chief wants. This is not what the tribal chief wants." Solo charged and hip attacked Jimmy with the chair wrapped around his neck. Heyman hesitated to walk past Solo and Tonga, who followed him to the back. This was a great segment. This was absolutely a great segment. They really needed to do something to really set the tone for what they're going to be telling this summer, and they did exactly that. So, by default, without even him being on TV, Roman Reigns is a babyface. I'm letting you know right now. Roman's not even on television. I don't know when he'll be back on television. By default, Roman Reigns is a babyface because of what's going with it. Blatantly betraying Paul Heyman and the tribal chief. So Solo attacked Jimmy, and Heyman said, "No, this is not the plan. This is not the plan of the tribal chief." Certainly is going to set up some interesting stories moving on here with Heyman, Reigns, Jimmy, Solo, Tami Tonga. There are a lot of other moving parts. Like I mentioned, Jey Uso, I think, will be drafted back over to be with his family and join Jimmy. I think the Usos are getting back together. Jacob Fatu is supposedly rumored to be signed to the WWE. He's going to factor into this. I'm making a prediction. I could be wrong. Solo could very well be acting on his own. This has nothing to do with The Rock. But I don't think that's the case. Because Solo hasn't been appointed by anybody to be the tribal chief. You just can't appoint yourself the tribal chief. It's got to come from somewhere. Final boss is pulling the strings. The final boss, The Rock, is pulling the strings. Solo is acting on behalf of The Rock. The Rock wants the WWE title. He's going behind Roman. He's forming his own bloodline. Jacob Fatu is going to end up joining them. The Usos will get back together. Other moving parts, if they are added to this, to add one more to the Rock side and another one to Roman's side, I don't know. I can only tell you what we have confirmed in the news and what we've seen on television. But by orders of the tribal chief, I don't think Roman has anything to do with it. We'll see what happens. This was great television. And Solo looked fantastic. Solo looked better in this 10 minutes than he did during his entire Bloodline run. Love it. Braun Breaker. He's back on television. Officially called up to the main roster. Lost the NXT Tag Team Championships to Axiom and Brendan Fraser. Nathan Fraser. Man, Brendan Fraser and The Mummy, man. I watched The Mummy not too long ago. Great movie. Nathan Fraser. Great little tag team they got down there. Really dynamic. I don't know if that's the best way to go about it. I think Braun Breaker should really be depicted as a solo star. But you got to give Baron Corbin some credit. He went down to NXT. He rekindled what was lost on the main roster. And he did the thing. Can't hate on him. He felt like he belonged. And working with Braun Breaker may end up being the best thing that has ever happened to Baron Corbin's career. Making them into a tag team on the main roster may be a step backwards for Braun Breaker. In NXT, it worked. So I'm genuinely curious what they end up doing with Baron Corbin now on NXT. The Wolf Dogs were very good. Cameron Grimes. Unfortunately, no creative plans, no vision, no creative. Comes out, 90 seconds. Braun got some new theme music. I don't know why they opted to change Braun Breaker's theme music. I don't know what possessed them to do that. Braun Breaker's music fit him perfect. And then they got him coming out to generic wrestler number 7 in the creator suite on WWE 2K24. At one point, I thought, what am I listening to? I thought it was like some remix of a song off the Blackout. I thought I was listening to a remix of Sad But True from Metallica. I don't know what the fuck they put him on, but it's not good. It's not good. There's no reason why they needed to get rid of his old theme song, but we could sit here all night and complain whose theme is good, whose theme feared him for the win. Basically all she wrote. Graves said Braun Breaker is going to be a problem for the entire SmackDown roster.
No, it's not.
That is if he ends up on SmackDown. We don't know yet.
Yeah.
We're going to soundbite of AJ Styles saying tonight isn't just another match. He's in the tonight will just be a taste of what you're going to get next week. So he's already addressing LA Knight, already predicting he's going to meet LA Knight next week. He hasn't even won the match. Man genuinely loathes LA Knight. It's great. He said the title reign feels different and special.
That was 17 minutes. It was 27 minutes. Wow, that's only over 2 hours. Well, I can talk about the news and rumors. Now, what happened on Wednesday with AEW? They did air the footage with CM Punk and Jack Perry that happened at AEW London back in August. Cody Rhodes and The Rock at WrestleMania 41. That's not happening. Don't know why they keep saying it. That's not fucking happening. That is a swerve and a troll. So that was like 2 hours. Now we got all this on Logan Paul. They get Logan Paul. Look at that. Okay. Alright. Well, might as well just end the video. Thank you for watching. Thank you for all the support. Hit that like button. Leave a comment. Subscribe to my channel. I'll be back with more. Until next time, this is Jacob Cat 2024. I'll see y'all later.